All right, should be good to go. Gonna go ahead and get started. You may have seen a couple of things that I did post in the chat. Well, one particular thing I should have just came through when I have a conversation this morning about revenue versus net profit. This seems to be one thing that's tripping a lot of people up here is revenue versus net profit. So when I had an opportunity to go through that with you guys real quick. So a lot of times when people are listening to these earnings calls, they focus solely on the revenue, right? So you're listening to top of the line, right? And this is where a lot of mistakes that people do make is you're focused on solely, right? Pretty much only the total money generated from sales, right? So that's before expenses, payroll, taxes, debt, right? So that is not going to pretty much reflect profitability. So this is where a lot of times people get confused and they say, well, the company beat on their right revenue, but they missed on their earnings, right? Or they may see a report that says, hey, well, net profit, right, was obviously a little bit lower than what was expected. So the money remaining after all expenses, payroll, operating costs, taxes, interest, that's pretty much your true measure of profitability, right? So that's going to show efficiency and sustainability, right? In this little small example here, company had 10, right? Went ahead and had $10 million in total revenue. But what was the expenses of that revenue? What was the expense, right? Eight, pretty much $8.5 million. So that means the company was left with a net profit of about 1.5, right? So that means the company was left with a profit of about 1.5. Revenue looks great, but profit is going to really tell you the true story. So why investors focus on net profit? That's what's going to directly drive earnings per share. That's how you increase your EPS. The only way for you to increase your earnings is by to boost your net profit. So if you are now having more expenses than actual profit, what's end up happening? You're now incurring losses, right? So you can have all of right the revenue you want, but if that revenue is not outweighing your expenses, you are going to be in the negative. Right. So this impacts directly your price to earnings ratio, which we always talk about our P to E ratios when it comes to our specific companies, right? On a weekly basis, we discuss that. It's also going to determine the valuation, right? So whether or not, right, investors do believe that we are supposed to be able to see some sort of upside action from that individual stock. So a lot of times we focus once again solely on revenues and not enough on the earnings and the net profit, right? Net profit is going to directly translate into a higher EPS. The better net profit you have, the higher EPS you have. All right. So just want to make those quick notes, especially as we're about to get into the rest of the earnings here. All right. So just my initial thoughts here this morning on some things, what I wanted to go over, and then also the social media illusion, right? Revenue is often promoted publicly, right? Where they're talking directly about revenue, not about net profit, is rarely discussed. You're going to hear about, once again, high revenue with low margins pretty much creates risk. Profitability builds wealth, not revenue alone, right? So the key to a company is to have high revenue and low margins, low spending, low cost. When you have high cost, that is going to essentially pretty much that's going to lead you to not be profitable. All right. So just my thoughts there. Couple things that I wanted to make note of here today. Next Friday, we will be in DC. All right. So excited for that. I am going to open up another 5 to 10 slots, but that will be it. We're going to cap the event at 100 people. Right now, I believe it's like 90 something people that's registered for the event in DC next week. So the venue can only hold 100. So it's a good problem to have. Originally, like I said, I only expected maybe 30, maybe 40 people max. But yeah, looks like next week in DC, it will be a fun time. So for all my DMV people, be looking out for that updated address. I'm going to blast it out today and pretty much for the next 6 days as we lead into the event. So I'll make sure that the address and the location is put out there. So you will see that starting today. In the next 6 days, I'll continue to make posts just so everybody sees it, and will be updated on the Eventbrite link. All right, so I will post that Eventbrite link again, but if you're in the Discord, the Eventbrite link is actually here underneath travel events. All right, so right here underneath the travel events, you can go ahead and click that training. Right, click this link, go ahead and sign yourself up for this event right now. So we did go ahead and open some other spots for you. So I did want to make another announcement on the mentee link up. Right, I know we pushed it back. This is like the second time we pushed it back, really just from a scheduling perspective. For a lot of people, I know that in the summer it's going to be easier for people to come through. So we are going to push it back to June 14th to the 17th. But if you've already made your scheduling accommodations, you can definitely still pull up. So if you know that for March 1st to March 5th, you definitely still can come to Atlanta. I can accommodate a few people, so I can make that happen for you guys. So if you are interested in connecting with me during that week, right? It's not going to be a ton of people that I can take, but I could still take a few people during that week. So if you're interested in that, send me a direct message. It's already like 2 to 3 people. So probably no more than 10, to be honest with you. So no more than 10. All right. So that means that leaves 7 slots there from March 1st to the 5th. If not, you can catch us in June, the 14th to the 17th. Be decked out and ready to go. So just pretty much updates and alerts on that. So yeah, just wanted to make those notes. Any questions from anybody so far? Correct. So if you're here in Atlanta, or you definitely are able to come to, you already booked. This is for people that may have already booked their time to come to Atlanta March 1st to the 5th. So you can come to Atlanta and get busy with me for that whole week. All right. So March 1st to the 5th, you can get busy with me that whole week. All right. So that's only 7. It's only going to be 7 people, though, that can come through. If you want direct access into that, you could just send me a text message on the side and I'll forward you all the details. All right. So that's only going to be, other than that, June 14th to the 17th will be live in ATL and you'll get those details. All right. Well, yep, 100 people, 100 people. Very excited for that. So any questions on any of these announcements right now at the top of class today? Any questions? Questions? And I am going to open up those tickets, those extra 5 to 10 tickets right now. I'm actually just going to do, yeah, looks like 2 people actually just, so it did hit 90. So yeah, I'm going to open up these last 10. These are the last 10 that I can accommodate for people because the venue can only hold 100 people. So yep. All right. Any questions? I haven't even discussed any tickers yet. All right. So I appreciate y'all. Someone said to clear that snow. Is that what I seen in the chat? Is that what someone said to somebody? Paul, tell the city to clear that snow. Haha, I'm just kidding. DC just started melting Tuesday. Yeah, as far as NYC, no date currently determined on that. But I could probably say that in between May and June, I definitely will be there for sure. Could be sooner though. Could be sooner. Maybe do something in April. But definitely, it's cold. It's cold in New York right now. It is cold in New York. It's definitely cold. So let's try April. Let's see what the weather's like. But I do have Dr. Boyce's event. I was just notified it's in Jersey City this year. This is like later on in the year, but I could tell you the dates right now. It's in October, so it's October 17th to the 19th. So October 17th to the 19th is going to be the dates that I'm in Jersey City, right? So you can put that down for all my people, Jersey City area, surrounding areas. That is going to be 17th to the 19th. Dr. Boyce is having the All Black National Convention, so I will be speaking at that. So you can put those dates on your calendar right now, just as a heads up. Just why I know that's distance away, but at least let you guys know now. So yep. So I'm saying I personally cleared the roads in DC. Yeah, last time, man, that ice, it was definitely icy outside. So just my thoughts in that regard. So appreciate everybody. Excited for DC next week. I really appreciate everybody for coming out. And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So I'll make sure that updated address comes in and I'll post that the next 6 days. So we'll move on from there. Thank you. All right, so we got Netflix, right? So two things on Netflix. You got Netflix and obviously Coinbase. So Coinbase is up here post earnings right now. They made a lower low, lower high. Watch Coinbase below 145 today. Now let's talk about Netflix. Is that Netflix done falling yet? The main question that a lot of people have. Uh, the answer to that is no. Netflix is making bear flag to bear flag. So every time it pulls down, it's flagging into a bear flag again, and then continuing to move to the downside. So NFLX, we're still looking for more of a move downward to, once again, 55 to 65 range. So we are looking for us to be able to come down here. And I definitely would like to see if we can see this, move here, downside 72 and then 67. All right. So 72 to 67. All right. Is very, 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 very good for us to watch next. So on Netflix, you might be seeing a re-entry once if we get another entry point, I'll definitely let you guys know. But on NFLX, also NFLU, before I get to Coinbase, is currently at about $20. Remember, that is $12 to $15 where you want to buy this 2x leverage ETF. So $12 to $15 on NFLU. That is where you want to get this leveraged ETF. All right. 12 to 15. All right. Let's discuss Coinbase now. And let me pull up CONL, ticker CONL. Probably the number one asked question this week is CONL. All right. And we're looking like we're getting ready to pull back down more on Coinbase. Just want to show you this on a clear chart. Below this 140, we're going to draw down to about 115 to 120. So we are looking for CONL to come downward as well. Currently at about $5.69 here this morning. But your accumulation zone is now in effect, right? So you can nibble a little bit at 5, but ideally probably about $3 is going to be that spot where Coinbase probably ends up going, CONL actually ends up going down to. So still you're looking at another 30 to 50% probably decline on CONL. So keep that in mind. Another 30 to 50% is where this thing is probably going to fall to, right? So in between that range. So I wouldn't get too aggressive quite yet here, but I would start to nibble at it. I think it's worth picking up a little bit from a buying perspective. I think it's worth to nibble at a little bit, but look probably for this thing to come down sub $3. That's where I think you probably want to get a lot aggressive, right? So CONL, Coinbase came here to the downside. Nice move here. So very good. Pretty much what we expected. This is a 3-year demand zone, on Coinbase. So as we're breaking below here, expect us to move downward to about 115, $120. So that's where you should be looking for here on Coinbase at this time. All right. So just my thoughts on it. Next one is Hims and Hers. Hims had a really rough week. Rough would be an understatement. This was a horrible week, right? So you got Hims, which came here, moved down. Next stop is about I would say about in between $5 to $8. I personally think that Hims is probably going that direction. Get sub underneath $11 here. $5 to $8 is where Hims is likely to go. This looks like a repeat of a lot of the other companies that we see fall from grace very fast. When you do one thing really well and lawsuits get put on you, it can be very detrimental to your business. And You see that actually here now with hims and hers. So expecting more move to the downside as we get underneath 1357. Expect this thing to trickle down. I do not believe that the blood is done yet here on this particular name. So wanted to make note of it, discuss it with you guys here, and tell you obviously where price is getting ready to go to next. So keep your eyes peeled on this company. More bloodshed is likely to happen. Now, these are my next two victims. You got OKLO. Obviously, we've been able to make some money on the downside on this name as investors have rotated out of this name consistently. And then you also have IREN. So I'm personally looking at both of these tickers right now. I didn't realize that they have IREN charted on this side, but it's all good. So I want to show you essentially on both tickers where I'm expecting both of them to come downward too. I like our IREN to come down below 40 bucks here soon. All right, so we're just sitting right here on the cusp. Remember, it was just like hims and hers where it took a little bit of time to get below, but once it did, it started to fold and fall. So as we started to draw down, I want you to look at 33, 30, and 25. Now, OKLO, I'm expecting that we see a massive pullback on OKLO here as well, even further than what we've already seen. Next stop is going to be underneath. We're going to break probably more than likely underneath this 61 level here soon. You could easily take this thing down back to about 58. So I'll be looking for OKLO to come downward roughly. I expect it to probably drop to about 30 bucks this year. So another 50% drawdown. These are two of the high growth names from last year. And I definitely would love to see IREN and as well OKLO play out to the downside. So you got both of these tickers. There's likely to see some rotation out of them. So you're going to see some blood, come out of both of these names more. So you want to take a look at both of these names to the downside. So you got ticker OKLO. All right, you're going to pull down. IREN. Both names are going to come here and pull downward. All right, so put these both on your watch list if you haven't already. I'm sure most people have at least OKLO on their watch list because we've been shorting that for the past 6 months. But also, if you're looking here as well on IREN, you may be new, so you might not have this name. Go ahead and put this on your watch list and watch as it draws down and be able to catch and take puts on this thing as it does pull here to the downside. So those are my thoughts, IREN, and as well, once again, OKLO. Just to reiterate some things that we already discussed and stated so you can see them play out. So we did hear two things that I wanted to make note of. We did hear from Amazon last week, and we obviously heard from Shopify this week as well. So ticker SHOP. Shopify reported this week. SHOP in a pre-market, I want to give you guys this setup and pay attention to SHOP and as well pay attention to AMZN. Both tickers tend to like to trade collectively together. You got Amazon, which is getting ready to break. I wanted to show you this morning. Got a bear flag pattern here building on Amazon built and actually breaking down. So on AMZN, some levels to pay attention to is going to be underneath here. These are your next levels to watch. 196, right? Underneath there, you're going to be looking at 194.83, then 192.87. Also on Shopify, if you want to take a look at Shop, you are going to be able to see here on Shop a break here to the downside. On Shopify, looking for a move to about $100 next. So $100 is where Shop is getting ready to go next, and underneath that, 91. So we see some bearish action on both tickers. I expect Amazon and Shopify to pull back over these next few weeks. So keep your eyes both peeled there. Shopify, to me, from a long term, this is purely long-term investing. A lot of people have asked me, where do I think that they should pick up Shopify? I would roughly say, if you're looking at long-term investing, Shop, and as well, where do I think Amazon is going to go back to here in the short term? Ideally, I would say on both tickers, I would like Amazon to come back in between 140 to 160. And then Shopify right around like 60 to 70 bucks, right? 60 to 70 bucks from a valuation perspective on Amazon, on Shopify would make a ton of sense, right? So I definitely would say if you could see this move here downward on Shop, you're still seeing this rotation out of these high growth assets. So you got Shopify getting crushed. You got Robinhood, same thing. This week was not a good week for the hood. Robinhood ended up pulling down here. So likely going down to about $50 a share. So it's going to be tough for them to get out of this hole right now. So you're seeing some rotation, once again, out of these ARK ETF names. So you do see a level of rotation out of these names. So you do got Shop and as well Amazon, both tickers moving to the downside, as well as Robinhood here, HOOD, right? Hood, expecting it to pull down just like the rest of these high growth names. So that rotation is continuing here after post earnings. Of course, we'll see what Coinbase does. We just highlighted those. So ticker coin, got to watch it there. Next one is MSFT, currently at about 401. But you're going to be looking for this drawdown here on Microsoft as well below this 398. It's going to come down here to about 390 again and probably continue to flush lower. So if we break underneath 390, stock price is going to pull us down to about 384. So you may have seen those targets in the chat the other day. I told you guys about specifically Adobe. I'm going to pull them up here in a second. And then as well, Microsoft, MSFT, and as well Oracle. Oracle's flat for right now. Microsoft kind of is as well too. Adobe did pull back down a little bit. So keep your eyes peeled on still those three tickers. Adobe pulled back and then pop. So these three tickers are still to me within a sell setup. So you want to keep your eyes on all three of these names: Adobe, Oracle, and as well Microsoft, MSFT. So you did have a lower high form. Now we're looking to take out this three. We went to 250, bounce there. Looking to take out that 250 next. Pull downward more. Same thing here with this 396 and then 390. So if you can see a move here on the downside, perfect. See that execution there. So you still got Oracle, Adobe, Microsoft, both expecting those to make lower lows over the next few weeks. All right. So Adobe could pull back more, Oracle, as well as MSFT. So those are my thoughts on those three names. Let me touch on next BTC and as well cover MicroStrategy. So some people have asked about MSTU, which is about $4 a share right now, which is equivalent to 47 cents. If they never would have done the split, this thing would be at 47 cents. When they did the split, they went back. Just want to show you when they did the split, came down to that split in December. They were trading between $1 and $1.50. So that was like $14 and continue to draw downward. So they're now back to about $4 a share. They did draw down a couple weeks ago, last week, got down to about $3.50. So on MicroStrategy, MSTR, which is right now at about 123 bucks. Really, we've now entered the buy zone area in between here, like $70 to 100 and change here in this early. So I think you will get another flush on BTC. On Bitcoin, I still think you'll break below this $60,000 mark. And I think you'll go into the 50 ranges. And that's where I believe it becomes a bit tighter. So you will have MSTU and MicroStrategy, which both pull downward more, but we're getting into the areas where you want to be a buyer. So BTC comes down within that 50 range. As that starts to happen, obviously the selling is slowed up a bit. over the past few weeks. I mean, we had a 3-week essential drawdown, and selling is slowing a little bit. You're not going to see it as fast as it once was, and that's understandable. That's the way the market works. So I would be looking for a break underneath 58,000. And I think that these are the areas and the levels you want to start getting exposed to. Some of these Bitcoin-based products, you're getting down nitty-gritty, close to the areas and the levels that we previously discussed. So those are essentially my thoughts in that regard at this time. So, yep. Last ticker I'm going to talk about before I got to jet out for today is Astera Labs. Blood is in the tank, and it's starting to pull back. So Astera Labs popped up on my list this week. You guys know where I want this thing, about 40 to 60 bucks. So $40 to $60 is where I want this thing. That doesn't mean we won't take this thing out before then either, right? So we broke below 131 on the daily time frame yesterday. I want you to add Astera Labs to your watch list if you don't have it already. Be looking for this thing to take out 116 and then 103 after that. So this is another downside momentum move, falls underneath the high PDEs businesses. So A-Labs is going to see a rotation out of it over these next few months. So Astera Labs, right now with 103 PDE, only earning $1.22. So that is getting ready to kickstart even further. The selling is going to start intensifying. So be looking for this break below 116 and hitting 103. So if you're looking for a high probability setup, as well as like the OKLOs, the IRENs, your high PE businesses, or some businesses that don't even have any requisite earnings, this is one that you're going to see a rotation out of. So ticker A-Lab, be looking for this name to be pulling back here to the downside. You wouldn't want to touch this thing until about 40 to 60 bucks. In between, you wouldn't touch this thing on a long-term investment until about $40 to $60. Yep. Last announcements that I have, the schedule will be posted today for next week. As you guys know, once again, DC, go ahead and get registered for that class. If you're not registered for the class for DC next week, go ahead and get registered. The link is right here underneath live events. The updated address will be posted today and for the next 6 days, right? That is the old address here. The Wilson Boulevard address is the old address. So we'll be posted. I'll post a fresh flyer with the address. I'm going to post as well directly the address in the chat. I'm going to blast it just to make sure that everyone knows. I'll also send an email out to all the people attending the event. So next 6 days, be prepared to see that address change. Once again, I appreciate everybody for their support. Excited to be with you guys next Friday. We will not be on Zoom. All right. So next Friday, we will not be on Zoom. Just want to make that note. Right. So we will not be on Zoom next Friday. Right. So it will only be in person only. All right. We will only be on Zoom. So I appreciate everybody for their time. And yep. Thank you. We'll touch bases soon.